After Paisley went missing, it was weird. Stillwell had me stand at the dream exhibit for a few times a week, which I hadn't done in a while. It was nice. Gavin even filled in once or twice, but he hated it. He was never very good with people. Gavin and I never really talked about what happened to Paisley. You'll hear more on that story, and I guess he'll know now too, if he's listening. We just never had the chance. We were so busy with work, and now we talk less, but we have more important things to talk about when we do. After episode 51 was recorded, I received a letter from a listener. I told Gavin I wouldn't record it, that I needed a break from the library. I didn't get a break, but this episode was as close to a break as I got for the next few weeks, so I thought I'd throw it in here. My name is Leilani Thatcher, a tour guide at the Library of Lost Things. This is The Doorstep Project, episode 52, Pine Valley. You might notice I sound a little different. Our studio is in the process of being moved to a new room, one with windows so the museum visitors can watch us work. I'll let you know when that exhibit is open, but right now we sound a little strange because we're in a storage shed. I'm sorry about that. We received a letter from a man named Bob from Heber, Arizona. In his letter, he mentions that he just turned 75, so from all of us at the Doorstep Project, we want to wish you a happy birthday. This story is about Pine Valley, Utah, a small town just outside of St. George. My memories of Pine Valley start in 1959, when I was 8 years old. My grandparents had purchased a small cabin there around that time. It was a yellow house about half the size of what it is now, with 2 small bedrooms on either side and a loft over one main room. The beds in those narrow rooms took up almost the entire bedroom, and the bathroom wasn't any bigger, but they made me use the outhouse anyways. My grandparents were Alma Ross and Alice Wilhelmina, my dad's parents. I spent a week or so for a few summers out at that cabin, keeping my grandmother company while my grandfather was working. Sometimes my cousin came out too. Marty and I were about the same age. We spent a long time under the road, in the culvert where it was cooler. When the cars would come over the top, it sounded pretty funny. We'd play around in the sand and just try to keep from sunburning. Oftentimes, it was just me and my grandma. She loved to quilt. She took up the whole living room with her quilting frames. The thing I remember most about that cabin was my grandma whistling. She whistled almost incessantly, and she hated the screen door slamming shut. She'd yell if it did. My grandfather got a mail contract with the Postal Service. Pine Valley didn't have a post office, so he'd ride around in his turquoise 1961 Ford Ranchero picking up and delivering mail for a bunch of different towns in that area. Central, Enterprise, Burl Junction, Newcastle, a few others. I spent a lot of hours in that car with my grandpa, driving all around the area. It was the last time I ever spent much time with him. In 1963, when I was 12, he died of cancer. Back in the late 40s, early 50s, when the United States was testing nuclear bombs on the desert surface, the residents of St. George would go up on the ridge to watch. A lot of people died from cancers after those tests, and they called them the downwinders. We think he was one of them. When I was a teenager, I didn't come out to the cabin as often. I had 4 younger sisters. My life at home wasn't that fun, so summer was for baseball. I took my wife out there before we got married, and we spent our honeymoon out at that cabin. And then we had children. The cabin changed a lot over the years. The house got bigger, extending the roof and the loft, adding a laundry area and a master bedroom, and making the kitchen almost 8 times bigger than it used to be. I fell off the roof once while roofing. It was more funny than painful. There still wasn't quite enough room for our growing families. When we stayed out there in the summers, the kids would sleep in the loft on foam pads. We didn't have much money as our family grew, but I made sure to take my wife out to the restaurant down the road those summers. It wasn't anything fancy. Even today, it's just cowboy food, but it's a good memory. There was one Christmas we took the kids to the cabin so they could have a white Christmas. My dad cut down a small little Charlie Brown tree, and the kids decorated it with strings of popcorn. And up by the reservoir, we carved all our names into a tree. The last time we went out there, though, they had cut down most of the trees, and our family tree was gone. And we brought a swing from our swing set at home and put it in the tree in the front yard, so while we were out there, all the kids could swing. My kids, the twins, remember helping my mom paint the pump house during our renovations, the clear coat dripping down into the dirt. My youngest daughter remembers this steep trail ride we took when we rented out some horses and guides for a night. The trail was so steep we were practically lying back in the saddles trying to stay on the horses. And my son, the oldest kid, said that the yard, staring out at the mountains, is still his happy place. Eventually that cabin was sold. By that point, my kids had some kids, but many of my grandkids don't remember the cabin. They had different memories of a lodge in northern Arizona we took the grandkids most summers. Now, I'm 75 years old this month. I have 4 great-grandkids and 2 on the way. And maybe they'll never see the old cabin or the restaurant down the road. They won't know about the trail rides or the family tree. They won't eat salty tapioca or string popcorn for Christmas. My great-grandkids won't take long rides to deliver packages with my grandfather, or listen to my grandma whistle while she stitched her quilts together. I want something to leave behind, so these memories might be remembered by these children. And one day, when I no longer remember, maybe I can listen to them all over again. I don't know if you'll record this in your podcast, but if you don't, my granddaughter might, and that would be good too. Signed, Bob. Thank you for listening to The Doorstep Project. This audio drama was created and produced by Family Friendly Podcasts. If you enjoyed the podcast, leave a rating and review on your podcast app of choice or share it with a friend. Leilani and the project will be back next week. Until then, write every day. One day your story could be in a museum. The Doorstep Project is produced by Family Friendly Podcasts. It was written, edited, and performed by AJ Barton. Sound effects for this podcast are provided by Zapsplat. Music used in this podcast includes Reawakening by Kevin McLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 license. You can learn more at his website, incompetech.com, or at creativecommons.org. Both music and sound effects have been changed and edited by AJ Barton. Links for websites, information, and contact can be found in the description of the episode. Would you like to submit your story or art to the Doorstep Project? You can find information for story submission at familyfriendlypodcast.com/The Doorstep Project. Information on CC by 4.0 licenses can be found at creativecommons.org.